Hello.
And we
Hi.
are now live from
Yeah,
around the
hello.
world.
Yeah. From
We were
Dum
just
Dum
warming
Girl.
up.
Yeah, that was one. We have Jana and Roger on the Q&A. Can you guys do the Q&A too or no?
I can't. How do you?
I think I can give you guys control. Because I want everybody to see the questions just in case you guys can answer some of them, you know? I don't mind doing that. Okay, you guys have control now.
Oh, I now have access to the control room.
Yeah, you do. You better not mess with me.
Will you tell me where it is first?
What?
The control room, I don't have a clue.
You have to go over to the side and then you
Don't
see
tell
where
me. I'm able to play with it, yeah.
yeah, don't touch it. Okay, so we have Roger and Jana. I think it's.
I'm not
Can you
seeing
guys see it now?
questions. I see the
Not here.
control
Let me.
room, but I'm not sure where the questions
Oh,
are.
go to Q&A on the left-hand side. This Q&A, and click on it.
Oh.
Let me know
There
if
we
you see it.
go.
Okay.
Yes.
So select. So when you select it, then it goes up to the top. Then you can talk to that person about their question, and then you hit done, and it goes away. And select the next one.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's started. Let us know if you guys can see us. I'm pretty sure they can. Okay, so I guess we can get into this now. So I know there's somebody, I don't remember who, maybe Angel, that said that he's never experienced a sleep paralysis. Have you guys experienced that throughout the years?
Not that I know of, but nothing would surprise me.
Well,
I,
I'm
I
thinking,
um I, I've only experienced it kind of briefly. It was never very long, and it wasn't kind of how I've always heard it, where it's this really panic situation where you actually feel like something's sitting on your chest. I've heard a lot of stuff, but thankfully I've only experienced like maybe a few seconds of that. Nothing that made me too scared.
yeah, well, I'm thinking because a lot of people have told me that, like throughout time, that, oh, I've never experienced that. And they're very enlightened. They're, what we would call awakened people, beings. And I'm thinking if people that are born into this, that already have that awareness and have no fear. I've had fear since I've been a little kid. Like I have been scared of everything you can think of. So if there's anything that happens to you that you're not used to, I think it tends to be stronger than like yours, oh, just a little bit here and there, or whatever, or you've only had one or two. So I think from my experience, I've always been like a scaredy cat, and any type of noise or shadow or vibration in my head or that frequency, you hear the voices, the frequencies, and or I see entities or whatever, or I would instantly get scared and want to shut myself down. So I've been seeing a lot of posts just on my Facebook in general, just like other people that have nothing to do with like our little community, and they all bring up, religion with the sleep paralysis, and it's the old hag or it's the devil, it's they're demons, and they're trying to control your body, and they are actually very scary. If you guys really haven't experienced that, you really feel like you're gonna die. You can't breathe. There's so many times where I've had like my life flash before me because I'm literally feeling like I'm about to take my last breath, you know. And Ethan dealt with that too. Now my niece is dealing with that. My sister, my mom, my other sister also deal with this. And I think the end of last year, I finally was like, all right, enough is enough. Like, what is this about? And I realized that the times where hold on, I'm just gonna mute you real quick. I'm sorry. Um, the times that I just let go, even when I was like breathing super heavily, and I was like, oh, something help me, somebody get me out of this, Um, hey, Rodney,
Hey,
do you mind if I mute you real quick because I'm getting a lot of static in my ear? I am so sorry. If you want to
no,
talk,
that's
just
that's my fan.
unmute it.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. Um, where was I after that? I forgot where I was at. But when I calmed myself, I think I did it on accident the first time because I remember so much was happening, and you get super exhausted. You feel like your blood just got drained. You get a big headache. And now that I think back on everything that would happen afterwards, because you are at a high vibration, so you don't know that at the time. And so when I finally calmed myself, the first one where I really calmed myself, I went into what I call like my mind, and I saw all my like the past shows that I've seen, uh, like events when I was little. Like I literally saw like TV screens just pop up, and I was like, holy crap. So because that happened when I calmed down, I thought maybe all the other times where I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm getting sleep paralysis, it's something super scary. Maybe something wonderful was going to happen if I would just calm down. So I was watching some videos today, and Christians really like to talk about sleep paralysis, and they make it be about, that it's the devil's work, and the spirit's trying to come into you at night and trying to possess your body so that you can go and talk to people and tell them that you are a medium, or talking to their family members and all this stuff. But in reality, it's not your family members. So it's like the night thing is what what gets you into that possessed state, is what they say. You know. So I'm kind of really tired of seeing all the posts. Oh, I just had that thing again last night, that sleep paralysis. The devil's trying to get me, and I'm just like, if you guys only knew that it's the fear, is that it's like with you, you might not have that fear, Marissa, where you said, oh, I had it once, but it was a little bit. Maybe you weren't as scared as I was, or others, and you didn't have those thoughts in your mind. And then there's people that say, well, I prayed to Jesus Christ, and then boom, I woke up. Why did I wake up? You know, if if it wasn't the devil's work, after I said, help me, Jesus, why did I wake up? Well, I've also learned that if we sit there and pray about just about anything. We're just like, I don't want to do this right now, because there's times where, like I said, I feel like I'm dying. And I'm like, please help me. And I've done the same thing. Jesus, help me, and I come out of it. And I talked to Cynthia Crawford once, and she said, if you're going through something like that, your guides will help you get out of it only because they see that the distress, and they're not here to harm anybody. So because you've been conditioned to fear so much, and you're allowing yourself to be hurt like that and scared, then they're gonna stop. They're gonna say, okay, let's leave her alone for now. Let's let her sleep. But these people that are saying, oh, once I prayed, it went away. No, it's just that because you're so upset, they want to say, okay, you know, let's not let you deal with that. You know what I mean? So I think from all the past 100 years that this has been happening, it's been written down that it's the old hag sitting on your chest. And I think that we actually, as soon as we get scared, it could be that someone's here to give us a message, and that's why they're touching our foot, or touching our hand, or stroking our hair, or talking to us. And then we're at a high vibration, so we're feeling the static, we're hearing all the frequencies, all this stuff's happening. So you're like, what the heck is this? So you automatically get scared. So then you're fighting it, And I had really bad fibromyalgia when I was young, and I really feel that I had that, not just because of the food, but because every single night I was putting my body through so much stress. It would be from the minute I hit the pillow till I woke up that I was dealing with this stuff. I never ever had a good night's sleep until 2015. No joke. You talk to Josh and he'll tell you stories of me just waking up, smacking him, or him waking me up because he could hear that I wasn't breathing, or I was, shaking or whatever. So, and like having seizures, I would feel like I was having seizures. So I don't know if anyone wants to share any other stories. But I don't think anybody besides, well, is it Roger? I'm sorry. Or
Rodney.
Rodney, I'm sorry. Rodney. Um, I don't know if you've experienced, because they say that they haven't really experienced.
Yeah, I wish I heard the beginning of what you were talking about. So to me, it kind of sounds like you don't see sleep paralysis as necessarily a bad thing.
Exactly, it's a good thing. It's just that people are fearful of everything. So as soon as they see or hear or sense anything wrong, they're going to let their fear in their mind take over their body because they're fighting to wake up when the high vibrations are trying to get you to that state so that they can pass on a message. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
that
astral project or whatever
mhm.
you want to do.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. I mean, if something unusual happens, I definitely get filled with fear. Because when it happened to me, um, the fan was on, and it sounded all weird and like distorted. I was in that
And
sort of like
loud.
in between place of sleep and like awake, but I couldn't move, and that that
Yeah,
that right there is scary.
yeah.
And everything just sounded all like extra loud and just very distorted. You know,
Well,
um,
you gotta think about when you're on that high vibrational level, your senses, everything is like heightened. So of course you're gonna hear the dog barking outside, like the dog barking in your room, and the fans going in your
mhm.
ears super loud, and it's like doing this, and you feel like your head's gonna explode, and you know. So yeah, once you calm your mind down and you remind yourself, like after you watch this, if it happens, after you're done with the hangout, you now know. So your mind now knows that whatever I'm telling you is because of the fear that you have. So what if the fan is super loud and in your ear? Once you tell your mind, okay, I get what's happening right now. I'm going to be going into that state, and I need to calm down because either you are going to astral travel or your guide's going to give you a message or whatever it is, an entity is going to come or an ET or whatever. So you need to calm down. And then I've also noticed that if it is something that is a little too scary, like an entity does come into your room and you really don't want to talk to them, you can literally stop it like that. You just need to say, I don't want that right now, or I want to go back to sleep, or
Now that you say that, that brings up another thing that I forgot. Before, um, I had a really terrifying experience with something that was in my room. First, I had this dream that I was in my kitchen and it was all dark. So I knew that if I open up the fridge, the light would come on. So I open up the fridge and no light. So then the next thing I know, I'm in my bed, but I can't move. And there's this thing in the corner, and it sounds like some kind of beast, and it sounds enraged.
yeah,
But I don't know how I knew this, but it kind of felt like it was angry that it had me in its grip, and now I was waking up, and it had to let me go. It sounded like like frustrated.
yeah. Well, that's what I think. 'Cause that's happened to me too. I think it's like a test in a way. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I don't know your exact situation on that and what that being actually was going through or whatever, but I think like I had a guide come to me once as a dragon and it was super scary. I was like screaming and he had a really scary voice and I was super scared. And then I calmed down. This is when I was trying to learn to just calm it down. And as soon as I calmed down, he showed himself as a real handsome white guy because I like white guys. I don't know. So I told Cynthia about that one too, and I used to call her a lot because I didn't have you guys. So I would call her and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this just happened to me," And she's like, "A lot of times our guides or um, entities try to see if you are willing to let the fear be gone, basically. So they'll come, not test you like in a bad way, like, hey, let me play a trick on you, just to see. So that scary voice, or if it's like laughing at you, scary, you know what I'm talking about, like laughing over and over again. You're just like, holy crap, get out of here. Once you just look at that shadow or whatever it is and you just say, hey, why are you laughing? Or why are you making that sound? Are you upset about something? Once you communicate and you ask, or if it doesn't stop, you just say, okay, I'm done. You literally can go cut, or like Christy said, tie a knot, and be done with it, they leave you alone. And if it really is something that's completely out of your, like, that it's something bad, you can ask it, if you are of the dark side, you're not allowed to be here right now and you need to leave. I'm sending you unconditional love. Hope that you come to the light one day. And if it goes away, then it was of the dark. If it stays, they were just showing themselves. They might actually look like that. It might be that because doesn't mean because they're dark or black or a mist that's grayish that it's bad. You know what I mean? So if you ask it that, if you say, are you of the light or are you of the dark? And if you are of the dark, you need to leave. If it leaves right away, that means yes, it is from the dark. If it's light, it will stay there and it might change its form so that you're more comfortable with it. That's happened to me lots of times where it's something super dark and scary. And then I'm like, holy crap, oh wait. And I'm like, you really are scaring me right now. And then they're like, okay. And then it changes, to like rainbow colors or whatever. So you
So
kind of
you
have
actually
to
see these
just calm
beings?
down. What was that?
You actually see them?
Yeah, I've seen a few. And like I said, once you calm down, you'll see. And it could be an energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a figure of anything. It could, like, I've seen beams of, like, literally like just beams of rainbow colors. Some of them were like super solid. Some of them were transparent. Um, I've seen orbs with faces in them that have actually taken me to a past life, like so that I could see what that particular, I guess, soul. I don't know what's in an orb, a soul, what he's been through. There's a lot that I don't know, but I only speak of what I know. But in that one where I saw the orb, my room was kind of dim. It wasn't completely black, but all of a sudden it went completely black, and I got scared. And I was starting that whole process of my body shaking and like, tensing up and everything. And I was like, okay, stop. And as soon as I stopped, all of these, okay, those neon drawings that they do, uh, and they make shapes and stuff, and uh, it stays lit for a little bit. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's what it looked like, and it was a blue color. And I saw a dog, a peacock, I think two doves, and I don't know what else. And I see them all flying up, and they were leaving like a glittery type of thing behind them. And they were going from the ends of my bed up to the middle of the ceiling. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I'm like on drugs, but not on drugs. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you know. And then I saw the orb, and the orb actually, something touched my hand because I thought that was it, like the animal going up. And then I was like, oh, that was nice. And then all of a sudden, I felt something touch my hand, and I look over to my bed, the end of my bed, and there's this big old orb, and it actually looked like it was like plasma, like it was around it was blue, and then I didn't see anything in it until I really like looked, and then I see this kid. He kind of had like Down syndrome, and he's looking right at me, and I was like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden my body like went into the orb, and I was in a past life, like the 1960s, and he took me to what I believe a really hard time in his life. And I don't know if it was one of my past lives or he was just trying to show me what happened to him. And it was pretty disgusting, the things that I heard and saw. Not like they did anything disgusting to him, like physically, but the way they were talking to him, the way they were treating him because he had Down syndrome or he was slow. I don't know exactly. Uh, they just treated him like crap and kept him in the corner, and he couldn't actually communicate. So he would just sit there, and then when he would try to do something, they'd yell at him, and he was at a train hobby shop, and you could tell that either his dad or uncle owned it or grandpa, I don't know. And so he was getting mad because nobody was paying attention to him, so he started throwing all the little trains that were near him, and then they got pissed off at him and they grabbed him and threw him behind some bookshelves and they told him to stay there and don't do anything, don't move, whatever. And then there was this ugly guy with suspenders, like keeping an eye on him, and he was just being really mean to him. And then I woke up and I was like, what in the world is that about? So the reason why the people that talk about sleep paralysis and they say, I fought it, or they prayed and whatever, and then they woke up, I want to just tell them, like, come on, guys. Like, this is actually something that we're supposed to be going through. You're supposed to calm down and let those fears leave your thoughts so that you can experience what it is that you're supposed to experience. So it can actually be a beautiful thing. Ethan used to have the night terrors, sleep paralysis, and all that. And then one day I had this conversation with him. And I said, I'm learning. So I want you next time to just calm your mind down and do not allow the fears from the movies and all these things to stop you from what you're supposed to be doing. And as soon as I told him that, like a couple days later, he's like, Mom, I don't even remember what the experience was, but this boy wakes up with the most amazing travel stories a kid can ever tell you. They're like seriously amazing. So I'm so glad that I learned that and that I could then share it with Ethan so that he can, not be scared and then share this with everybody. He could write a book with all his stories. Because when he was little, before he knew of fear, he would wake up. Because he was able to talk at a very young age. So any dream that he would have, he would tell me about it. And then one day he just stopped talking about dreams. I was like, what happened to your cool dreams? And he's like, oh, I had a scary experience last night. And so he had night terrors. So he spent his night fighting them. And he would wake up, bloodshot eyes, the bags under his eyes, because he didn't sleep just like I for so many years. And then I was like, oh no, he's doing what I did. And back then I didn't know how to help him when they first started. So I was like, oh, I know it's hard, just hang in there. They'll go away someday, hopefully. I'm over here 30 years old and I still have them. But once I figured it out and I was able to tell him, it made everything so much better for him. He didn't run into our room anymore screaming and yelling like I did when I was young. I used to run to my mom, and my mom would call me crazy and tell me to go back to bed, and I didn't see anything. And, so your parents, I'm glad that I learned that, because your parents can really put just not a barrier, block you from anything. Because I had a long stretch of time where I just said, forget it, I must be crazy, and just didn't allow myself to get that message from everybody. You know what I mean? Mom, my star family.
I say there's no greater gift than to be crazy. I'm like 100%, so I know.
Me too. I would say don't call me crazy, because I don't want people to call me crazy, but I can call myself crazy. That's funny.
Wow, so
Nobody else here?
I didn't hear Marissa's story about hers. Did you have an experience like that, Marissa? Is that why you called this meeting?
Oh no, this isn't. I didn't call this. This is actually Dave's hangout. But no, I've only had brief experiences with sleep paralysis that weren't really remarkable at all. It just kind of felt like a lucid dream and just very hard to become fully awake. I luckily haven't had any like really horrific experiences. But what I was gonna say about the whole thing where people go, oh, it was Satan, or oh, it was, and then when I prayed, it went away. Well, really, no matter what you name it, what's really happening is just such a low vibration sometimes that, yeah, you could call it Satan. Some people do, but it really, all that is a low vibration. And then praying, obviously, like you were saying, Day, doesn't matter what you say, that intention right there, it's just intention, and it pulls you out of that. So no matter what you call it, Christ, Satan, It's going to do the same thing.
And it's all
With
in
intention.
reality, it's all the same thing anyway. You know,
Right, right.
Satan is the dark side, and whatever, if you're praying to God or praying to Jesus, it's the light, you know, it's the good side. So you
Right.
can't really go wrong with that, you know. So I
Mhm.
don't know.
When I still live in Louisiana, we used to call it a winch on your back.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep, I remember because I did a paper in school, and actually when I did the paper, nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. They're just like, "You're crazy. What is this about?" I was like, "Well, you know the night terrors." They're like, "Yeah," but I was really going into like depth with it, you know, and they just weren't getting it. I was like, "Okay," but I did a lot of research and I actually just found the. I don't need it anymore, so I threw it away. It was everything that's on Google right now. But I remember I printed all these websites. I printed a bunch of information and like highlighted stuff and wrote down some of my experiences and stuff like that. But back then, I really thought, you know, that it was not a hag because I remember writing that we don't know what it could be. Don't be scared. And here I am, still being scared all these years. So I didn't really take my own advice on that one. Because when you are experiencing them, they are so scary until you really learn what this whole thing is all about. So if you're closed-minded, you're still stuck, you know, in religion, or you're having a hard life in general, then you can't really get out of it. You're gonna constantly go through these things, you know?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I used to sleepwalk a lot for like my whole life, and I wonder if it's a similar thing to sleep paralysis, because I didn't know that I slept walk until somebody told me. So
Well,
what are your thoughts on that?
my sister used to sleepwalk. I don't see. To me, sleep paralysis is just that state, right? You're when you're at a low vibration and you're about to go into a higher vibration.
Mm-hmm.
That state in between where your fears. So this is low vibration. This is high vibration, and you're ready to get there. In the middle is fear. Okay, so that fear is what paralyzes you.
Okay.
So when when you meditate and you get into that state of bliss, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not that you're paralyzed, but you're kind of just like
Yeah.
you're like I'm happy where I'm at right now. I'm not gonna move. You can't really feel your body, and then
Yeah.
you like astral project or you go to a different time. That's what that's what's supposed to happen.
Okay.
Okay, but because we fear it and we're not meditating, so it's like not accidentally happening, but it's without us knowing that it's going to happen. So you sleepwalking could just be that you're in that state of like how when we meditate, you know, we're in that state of bliss, but your body just goes with it instead of you staying behind. Because yeah, because my sister used to sleepwalk. She used to have sleep paralysis. She would see entities, but she's not all about this right now. But she would sleepwalk and she'd go outside and come back and like pretend like she was a dog digging a hole
Oh
all
God.
the time. She would turn on the light on and off, and then when you would wake up like, Julie, what are you doing? She'd be like staring at you. Or actually, I just remembered something. My sister, when she sleptwalked, she used sleptwalk. Does that make sense? She would come up to your bed and just stare at you like this
Oh
when
God.
you were sleep. Well, yeah, when you were sleeping, and then when we would wake up and look at her, she would be speaking a different language, like
Oh
not
God.
even a language that you can understand. So
Right.
I'm wondering if she was actually talking like a light language at that time.
Well, that's why I asked is because when my parent told me, "Oh, you were sleepwalking again," and I said, "Oh, what did I do?" They said, "You just messed with all the lights in the whole house, and then you went back to bed."
Oh wow.
And then one time I want to say my mom said that I was talking a bunch of nonsense to her didn't understand what I was saying. But she said, okay, just go back to bed, and I did. But that was the only time she told me about that. So I wondered if, you know, even though I was in a dream state or something, my body was physically walking around doing stuff, and I don't remember anything the next day.
It could be that you were in a different time, like how I tell you that we go to past times or future, or you know how I went with my Amazonite. It could be that your body just ends up getting up while you're having those experiences. And that's why when you're talking like the light language or gibberish, what people would call it, you're actually somewhere else communicating with another being from that planet.
That's so cool.
Yeah. My sister did it a lot. We would literally wake up like, what the hell are you doing next to us? And then she'd just start, oh, and I'd be like, what the heck? My mom would be like, she's crazy, speaking gibberish, speaking in tongues. My mom would say sometimes. Yeah, it was pretty weird. I don't know.
All right, I have a couple of comments. The first, and I know it's a little late to figure this out, Dave, but you and I, we connect pretty much. You know, I can like see inside your head, or sometimes, and you know, when we talked on our first time, you know, about being up on the ships, you were there too, and the exact same things, and then I picked up on what your new design was be. When you were talking about the orb, what hit me immediately was that was a past life. He took you to your past life, and you were him. But it had something to do about something that was going on in your present life. Now, of course, I don't know what was going on at that day. You know, I don't know how long ago this was. You probably wouldn't be able to remember. But it had something to do with something that had happened or just happened in your present day, and it was just showing you something from your past. Maybe it's something you did right, that you overcame that karma, and he was showing you what it was on the other side, what it was like. But that was that. And then,
well, that makes sense. Yeah. Go ahead.
Then a lot of people, sleep paralysis everybody has it. Everybody has it. It keeps you from thrashing around in your dreams and stuff. That's the purpose of it. It's supposed to keep you from swinging. I knew somebody who had the opposite of it. And nobody could sleep with them, even in the same bed, because all night long they were swinging their arms and kicking. Whatever was going on in their dreams, they were acting out physically. And it's the opposite of it. And that's when the first time I even heard the word sleep paralysis. It says they're supposed to have this paralysis at night where most people don't feel these actions. They don't have these actions because they're there. So back to the ships.
Yeah.
You know, well, I'll throw something else in first. You know, I've been on the ships, and I've come back and look at the clock, and it's earlier than when I went to bed. Like they don't throw me in the right time. You know, they miss, or I came back quicker or something, time traveled. But when you go to the ships and you come back fast. And sometimes you don't get, you're still just coming out of your REM sleep, and so they flip you back, but you're still in the paralysis mode, and that's why it's being felt, I think. And that's why I think everybody, you know, a lot of people going up to the ships. And I think I heard one time 1 out of every 5 people actually suffer from it, which to me says your timing is just a little bit off. You're coming out of your sleep faster than you're coming out of your paralysis. And
well, I remember that you said that. If it happens right when you go to bed, you know what I mean? Because it's never happened to me when I wake up. It's always happened to me Friday.
Okay, I've never heard of it before you get to sleep, because they say that that's a national body function.
Well, I'm saying like right now, like, hey guys, I gotta go to bed, and I go to lay my head down, then it starts to happen.
Yeah.
Not that I've been asleep for a while and then, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Maybe they took you immediately to the ships before you could get down. I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
yeah,
But I
that was
mean,
just something that was hitting, you know.
just from what I this is just from what I've experienced, that if that I lost my train of thought now. That it happens to me, or that I think that it's the fear. You know what I mean? Maybe there is times where if you are in mid sleep and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're having that hard time, maybe it is what you were talking about, you know. But just from my experience, it's more when I'm going to bed, especially like if I'm on the computer or I'm reading a book or something like that and I'm extremely tired, it tends to happen quicker. And then if it's something that I'm learning, like if I'm getting all this knowledge, it tends to happen to me. So it's like, oh, you're reading about, astral projecting, or oh, you're reading about spaceships. Oh, then it's like I'm thinking about it, and so I go into a high vibration super quickly. But then when I'm over here typing on my laptop, and all of a sudden I feel all this uh, tension and all these things happening, and then I'm fighting it, and that's when I was talking about the fear comes to, you know, to ruin it all. But what I was going to tell you about the orb, I think you're right, because I have been telling people I think that's either his past life or my past life, or what he went through or what I've been through. And that I do remember that time. Uh, I've always had a problem with people understanding me and me speaking up. When I was young, I was very shy and I didn't know how to open up to people. But then when I did open up, I just diarrhea out of the mouth. I could just talk all the time, and they just look at me like, "Shut up already," you know. So I think because of that past time that I went through, I couldn't speak, literally speak, right? And then I had that disability. I was mistreated. So I've carried that on to this lifetime where right when I was born, or right when I was, 1 or 2 years old, I was already shy and timid and scared of what people were going to say when I start talking. You know what I mean? So that does make a lot of sense, because at around that time, because it happened not too long ago, a couple months back, at that time I was having a hard time with my mom not understanding me, and not being able to speak of all of this stuff that we believe in. And so I think he was kind of telling me, hey, like what you said, and I have actually gotten a lot better at that. I don't really fear anymore to talk to people about what I have to talk about, and I'm not embarrassed of who I am. And it was kind of like closure, like seeing him go through that. It really hurt me. I was like, how can people treat an innocent person, innocent kid? He was like 9 years old. How can they treat somebody like that? You know? So I think you're absolutely right. Thank you for that. That makes a lot of sense. So, you guys want to talk about something else, or does anybody else have any more questions? Sorry, guys, for not telling you this is live. We can actually stop the broadcast if nobody has any more questions, and we can just talk about whatever we want to talk about. What do you guys think?
Well, did you want me to try to channel somebody?
Do you want to do that live, or do you want to?
It doesn't matter. It's up to you. It's your hangout.
I think we should stop it just so that whoever's on here that doesn't want to be on live can talk. You know what I mean?
All right. Yep, that's fine.
All right.
Can you
What
guys
was
hear
that?
me?
Yeah.
Oh, I know someone who's going to actually ask a question about sleep paralysis in a second here.
Okay.
If you want to wait a second for that. And I did have a thought, oh, I was going to ask everybody if you've ever experienced this where you'll be about to, you feel like you're going to astral project as you're falling asleep or have a lucid dream or something, but it's like the moment you know that's going to happen is when it stops. When you get involved in the, I think I'm going to astral project or have a lucid dream, then you go. Have you guys experienced that as well?
Yeah, that's happened to me. Or I'll actually come out of my body and be like, oh, and then go right back into my toes.
Yeah.
You're like I'll dive in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh crap, what just happened? I don't know.
It's a funny
experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's because it's not our true self, higher self, inner goddess. It's us, like our subconscious,
Right.
So it's like, oh crap, they're paying attention to what's happening. And they're just, knock it off.
Yeah, it's a funny experience. You go, oh no, I wish I hadn't have noticed. It could have worked out.
Exactly, because I had one the other day, and oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I forgot. So I astral projected. Well, I meditated. I've had a rough time with my body, if like the way my body looks. Like I don't. I have. I'll be honest. I don't care. I have cellulite, and it really bothers me. And I have the arm fat and stuff. So I'm trying to self love, like learn how to self love. Like Pamela told me, like you have to find that, where you just love yourself no matter what you look like. And so that night I was like, okay, I'm gonna meditate on this and see what happens. So I put on this meditation. I didn't know what it was. I just played it, and it was like a tone, and it was just a continuous tone. There was no talking or anything. And I'm laying on my bed, and it's like, I'm feeling calm and like a normal meditation. And then all of a sudden, I went from this is my bed, this is me. I went boom, like under my bed, but like I felt heavy when it happened. Like I just went through my bed, and then I felt like I was submerged in water. Like everything that I was hearing, it was like I'm underwater, and I was like, holy crap! And then my torso felt like it was solid. I don't know, it was weird. So I'm sitting there like, oh, what just happened? Or laying there, but it felt really, really good. And I was like, holy crap. Then all of a sudden, I felt my head coming out, like I'm about to astral project. And I come out of my body, I go through the wall, and I haven't astral projected in a while. And actually, I used to fly every single night, like just have fun and fly. And I've had this weird, like, disconnect happen. And I think it has to do with what I was telling you guys before, how I was doing the hangouts, and then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I don't feel smart enough. Like, I have just beat myself down so much. Oh, I don't feel like I have the vocabulary to keep talking to these people because I saw all these other people talking. I was like, I don't know these words. Instead of me saying, oh, I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is. I'd just be like, I feel dumb. So I was beating myself so much that my dreams stopped. I stopped astral projecting. So many things stopped. So I'm just getting back into the groove of things. Anyways, so I came out and I go through the wall, and when you first do it, and you're just like, whoa, and you're just like flapping around like a balloon that's been deflated. Well, I'm doing that, and I'm just like going around in circles, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't control it. And then I was like, it's okay, this is fun. Like I was on a roller coaster. So I'm spinning super fast, and then finally I stop, and I'm floating, and I don't really remember everything. I know that I went into people's houses and I was like looking in or whatever, but all of a sudden I felt, after I calmed down a little bit and I was able to fly, I felt wings grow from my back. Like I literally felt it coming out, and then they just grew out super, super long, and they were like a yellowish color. And then I just started flying, and I was just like, woo, having a good time. So much happened, but I just can't remember it. But I know a lot of stuff happened. So I don't know why we started talking there. But anyways, well, what you had said. But yeah, it was. I didn't really give it any thought when I astral projected. Ethan's here. I just went with it. Is your friend gonna? Oh, is this your friend that has a question? No.
I'm not seeing a question. Do you see one?
Not question, but somebody came on. Oh no, that's Angel, huh?
Oh yeah,
that's
that's Angel. I don't know
No,
if he. Oh, he said he wrote one. I don't know why it's not showing up. It might be under the event because I'm not sure if it went through. Let me take a
oh,
look.
hold on. Oh,
It might have been submitted in the wrong place. Oh, I see it. Okay, do you guys want me to read it?
yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, he
Put the
says,
door, please, Ethan.
um, one common thread in many different cultures. Oh, you already talked about this. How funny. One common thread in many different cultures is the old hag sitting on your chest or on your bed while being asleep and being unable to move. Why do you think so many different cultures, both in the past and in modern times, have this shared image? So yeah, you kind
Uh,
of touched on it a little bit, but I guess he's asking why do you think that that's a common theme to call it the old hag?
because you literally, when it first starts, well, this is just from my experience, when I first started to have these experiences, that's really what it felt like. It literally felt like somebody was sitting on your chest and you couldn't breathe. But after a while, that feeling actually went away from me. It could be that whoever experienced it first, like the first person to ever experience it, it felt that heaviness. And it could be that that's just what happens to you when you do go from a low vibration to a high vibration. You know, like I said, you let that fear get in the way, and then you feel like a heaviness. We don't know who knows what it is, and so then that person told the story, or they could have seen an entity on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen plenty of entities on top of me. But then as soon as you let that fear come to be, then you feel that heaviness and because you're scared and you want to get out of it, and so your body is like doing this and you're like fighting it, you know. So I just think that whoever told the story then
It got
gave
passed down.
it got passed down, and then whatever. I've never read the Bible from beginning to end, but
Mm-hmm.
it could be that there's things in there too that talk about certain things like that. So people, of course,
That
want
could
to
be.
believe. Yeah. So of course they're gonna believe what they read in a book, what they see in what they read in the Bible, the stories they were told, and it gets passed down, and nobody really sits to think, hey, it could be that it was just, back then they're not gonna think it was an entity that was giving me a message, or it
Mm-hmm.
was because of the vibrational change or whatever.
Right.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So are they watching?
I'm not sure. I guess so. Whoever's watching,
They
that was the answer.
yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna go. Well, I'm gonna turn off the live feed so we can do some
Cool.
stuff here. But we could talk about this later if other people want to come on and ask questions. We can do another hangout. But we pretty much have people here that haven't gone through that that much. So we will see you a little bit later and talk to you guys on the next hangout. Thanks for coming. Peace out.